Slice of Life, episode 15 already. We are mowing through every single day of quarantine. His name is Billy Horner. My name is Keith Rad. And we're happy it's Friday during quarantine. There's a famous Seinfeld episode. Monday has no feel. Tuesday has no feel. Does a Friday in quarantine have a feel?
No, every day is Groundhog Day, just without Ned Ryerson. Every day is exactly the same. You don't know when's a weekend, when's a weekday. It's all chaos.
All right, so let's make it a little bit of a better day. Let's start it off with our favorite social slice. Billy, you are a huge theme night creator at the Brooklyn Cyclones. One of your theme nights was Parks and Rec night last year. Good news coming.
Yeah, so we're getting the band back together, man. I'm excited. So like our friend Pert Hapley would say, the story today is that there's a show that is getting back together, and that show is Parks and Rec. One of my favorite shows in recent times is NBC's comedy Parks and Rec. It's the collection of characters, the writing, just everything is spectacular. I'm a big fan of Ron Swanson, the character played by Nick Offerman. He's just spectacular. It was announced yesterday that the show is getting back together for a one-night-only fundraising event next Thursday on NBC, with proceeds benefiting Feeding America. The premise of the show will be in modern day times, set in obviously Pawnee, Indiana, where Leslie Knope, who's probably the main character, played by Amy Poehler, is trying to keep in contact with all of her friends while social distancing. So the creator and executive producer of the show, Michael Schur, said he sent out an email to all the cast members with an exploratory just question, would you be interested in doing this? And within 45 minutes, everybody had replied and said yes. So that's pretty crazy considering the people that are on the show and how big a lot of them have become. Chris Pratt is in every action movie ever, I think now. I think that's his role. Rob Lowe's in it. Amy Poehler's a big star. Obviously, you have Aziz Ansari and Aubrey Plaza. So I'm excited for it. It'll be some type of new TV to watch. And I just think Parks and Rec is great. And the concept behind it, I think it'd be pretty funny. Because Amy Poehler's character of Leslie Knope is so in your face and needs to be busy all the time. And being stuck in quarantine is going to be an interesting dynamic, I think. So I'm excited for it. It's raising money for a great cause. And should be exciting to watch.
Yeah, and the fact that everybody responded in 45 minutes, I think is great, because in these moments, like when you call up a friend and they don't answer, you're like, they literally couldn't be anywhere. They're on their phone. I know they're there. So it's great that they're all jumping in quickly. My favorite social slice, Old Takes Exposed, which now is, I guess, Freezing Cold Takes on Twitter. One of my favorite accounts because as we pal around about the NFL draft and nobody knows anything, and people say, like a reporter will say, this will happen, and then that doesn't happen, or the opposite happens. An account like Old Takes Exposed will be right on it. So with no sports going on, they put it to some of the followers, hey, if you find anything that is just a fad, or someone said it's just a fad, and obviously it turns out not to be a fad, submit it. So I found, there's numerous ones, but I found my top 3 from this little thread that they had. Here's the first one. A story from Muncie, Indiana in 1953. Bill, bathtubs are just a fad. Number 2, 1903, the president of a Michigan savings bank advises Henry Ford's lawyer, hey, don't invest in Ford's company on automobiles. He says, quote, the horse is here to stay. The automobile is a novelty, as a fad. And then finally, my favorite one, talkies. From 1928, I'm going, talkies, phones? No. How about movies with words and talking? Just a fad. So I'm a big history buff. I love seeing these things. I really got a kick out of this.
Yeah, I checked out the list a little bit as well when I saw you were going to talk about this. And my favorites were electricity is just a fad, bathtubs, which you had also mentioned, which I just thought that's spectacular, and cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers are a fad. And that's just outrageous, because there's nothing in the world that I want more than a delicious cheeseburger currently in the situation that we're in. So it just goes along with being a fat guy, I think. But here I am.
I will hold my tongue. Bill, we'll jump right to Chicken Parm Heroes. I like this story because it reminds me of another story, but I'll wait for that.
Yeah, so we already got started on cheeseburgers. So During life in isolation, there are some positives like getting to spend more time with your family and the sense of community and camaraderie that's really developed in with our neighbors and things like that. So that's all great stuff. The downside is I am dying for someone else to make me food. I want a sandwich. I want fast food. I want something made by somebody else. So that brings me to my chicken parm hero, which today is Wendy's. Yes, Wendy's. The redheaded lady with the pigtails, like Wendy's Wendy. She's and her comrades, I guess. Because today at every Wendy's drive-thru in America, they are giving away free chicken nuggets. They sent out the following tweet. Not gonna lie, all this love y'all are showing has inspired us. We wish we could give you a hug, but instead we'll give you a nug. So this Friday we'll be giving out a free 4-piece spicy and crispy nuggets at every Wendy's drive-thru. No purchase necessary, not a single string attached. That is the kind of thing we need in the world today.
True heroics. And I will say for anybody who's kind of like, nugs, I was in the same boat a little bit, but then you eat the spicy nugs from Wendy's, they are life-changing. They are really life-changing.
For sure. And I mean, any type of free food I'm here for, but I could really go for some nuggets today. So if I find myself out and about, which I may actually force myself to go do this, rainy day, nuggets, some chili, it's going to be a nice day.
Yeah, and when you had this story on the rundown today, it reminded me of The Office, Michael Scott, when he breaks up with Jan, of course, and tells everybody in the office, I need a name of somebody so I can call them and date them, and the first name that he has is someone named Wendy, and he gets the number and calls, and it's a Wendy. So that was terrific. My chicken parm hero today, we're going to revisit. This show has gone on, Bill, so long, 15 episodes in a row that we can go back now and revisit some great stories. We had a chicken parm hero the other day on Captain Tom Moore from the UK, 99-year-old British military veteran from World War II. Remember, he was the guy, the 99-year-old doing laps in his courtyard. His goal was to raise about 1,000 pounds, which is about $1,250 US dollars for the NHS National Health Service. So we heard the story, and by the time we got to him, he had raised $17 million. Well, now he's raised $35 million, plus his 100th birthday is next Thursday. He's already received 70,000 birthday cards. And Captain Tom Moore teamed up with Michael Ball, who's like a local musical performer, like a Broadway performer in London and in England. They created a song that's now heading to the top of the charts called You'll Never Walk Alone. This guy is unbelievable. $35 million. And by the time this goes to air today on Facebook, whenever we post this, it probably will double. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's also a petition on change.org with close to 1 million signatures to get Tom Moore awarded knighthood. So the name Sir Thomas More may ring a bell, but he's got what this guy's done, and just the inspiration that he's been for people around the globe is just absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah, he's insane. Really nice guy, and I mean, for 100, well, almost 100, he's got a lot of energy. He's been doing a lot of interviews and things like that. So, props to him. We'll jump into sports. Billy, we're going to start with you on this one because there was a lot to digest. I know we talked a lot about food, no pun intended. A lot to digest from last night's NFL draft.
Yeah, so the draft last night, I mean, we've talked about this. The NFL draft is just like throwing darts. You have no idea what it really is about. Nobody that's talking about as a fan sits and watches game tape of offensive linemen, so we really don't know what's going on. But last night, what really captured me was how amazing social media is during events like that, where everybody is sitting and watching the same thing because there's really nothing else to occupy your mind. So first things first, the general manager of the Detroit Lions has the head of IT for the Lions living in a Winnebago in his driveway because this is all done virtually. And there was a debate last night whether the Winnebago should be called Cal Van Johnson or Barry Vanders, which I just thought was spectacular. And that's the kind of content I'm here for. It was also a bad night for girlfriends at the draft, as CeeDee Lamb got selected by the Cowboys, and his girlfriend tried to grab his phone and was immediately rebuffed on national television and became a meme for the ages. And then Isaiah Wilson, who's a Brooklyn guy who was drafted last night, was sitting getting a hug from his girlfriend, and Isaiah's mom said, "That's enough of that," and basically threw her out of the way. So that was another dynamite moment from the draft. And then we got to Mike Vrabel's family. Mike Vrabel's family, everybody else had their kids around. It was kind of cute. John Lynch, and here's Kyle Shanahan, and here's everybody. They got their kids around. Mike Vrabel is sitting there, and he's got a big fat dip in his mouth. And then on one side, he's got a guy dressed in his Pro Bowl jersey with what appears to be a bleached mullet. And on the other side is a guy dressed like Frozone from The Incredibles. These are two grown men, like just standing there like guards, like toy soldiers outside of FEO Schwartz. And then in the corner of your eye, you see another sort of shadowy figure in a reflection. And the internet went wild that it was another child in the home sitting on the can. So internet investigators found out that he was just sitting on a stool, but for a brief glimmer of moments, I thought the Vrabel family is really handling this quarantine incredibly well. And then finally, so Jerry Jones made the selection for the Cowboys in what appeared to be some type of spaceship. And upon further investigation, it was actually on his $250 million yacht, which was incredibly curious for me because he's, Dallas, kind of landlocked. But anyway, he also the yacht itself is 357 feet long, which just seems egregious. You should have 3 boats if you're going to put them together with 357 feet. So just a lot of things last night during the draft to unpack. A lot of fun, and thank goodness for Twitter to keep me entertained.
Yeah, I now that you mentioned Dallas, Jerry Jones, I mean, do you think the yacht was probably on land somewhere? He was just in the yacht?
So in my mind, I thought it was like Long Island, where he was just parked in his neighbor's driveway, and you really were getting annoyed because it's kind of an eyesore. But I did some investigation, which was even a little more confusing. The boat's usually in Miami, so I guess that's where Jerry was hanging out with his yacht in Miami Gardens last night.
So all those things were obviously amazing, and that was only round 1 of the 7. It'll continue tonight. I saw one that was kind of one of the reasons why I love sports, because it's all about achievement and aspiration and setting goals. Kenneth Murray, who was from Oklahoma, played with the Oklahoma Sooners, was drafted by the Chargers. And check out this tweet. He quote tweets himself from January 2017, where his tweet basically says, "I'm going to be a first-round draft selection. Like, count on it," which is amazing. And then he does it 3 years later. By the way, he wasn't even at Oklahoma yet. He didn't even play in a college game. And I did a little bit of digging. I mean, not a lot of digging on this. 4 linebackers were taken last night. That's very low as far as his position. 4% of draft-eligible college football players were selected or are selected in the draft. So it's a near impossible dream. And little sports stories like this give you a sense of hope, and you just love when people put their head down and make things happen for themselves. So at least somewhat touching.
Yeah, I think particularly the NFL's draft is just full of stories of people overcoming obstacles. You see it basically on a pick-by-pick basis. There's the tackle from USC who was selected, who donated bone marrow last summer to help his sister. Joe Burrow, the first pick in the draft, had a 6th-round grade going into the year, then won the Heisman and was the first overall pick. You just see stories like that nonstop of guys. I mean, there was guys that they were talking about. Jordan Jefferson was a 0-star recruit and basically just went to LSU because his brother was the quarterback there at one point. So guys like that who go from nobodies to being first-round picks to being guys like Victor Cruz dancing in the end zone, winning Super Bowls. It's crazy how that stuff always happens, and definitely motivational, inspirational stuff for sure.
And so we will have a little more of that NFL draft tonight and tomorrow, and then Sunday, again, The Last Dance, episodes 3 and 4. I'm excited. I know you're excited. I'm excited for what Monday will hold, because we will have that giddy feeling yet again.
Yeah, I know. I watched the preview, so I got a little bit of inside info. I know you're anti-preview, so it'll be just like Christmas morning for you. Open up a package, no idea what's inside, so I can't wait.
All right, Bill. Good stuff. Again, good week. Week 3 done. We'll see you on Monday for week 4 of Slice of Life. Hopefully you're enjoying this as much as we have. Billy, I know I've enjoyed a lot of your stories, and hopefully we'll keep it up. We'll see you on Monday.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Brennan.